All right, we're gonna get started. So just let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully you guys can all hear me. Hold on. All right, and hopefully there are two screens. I don't know, we're still playing with this, and so forgive us if we're a little bit technically challenged. I put up a list of cooking classes that we're going to be hosting going forward, and they're going to be items that you might be interested in, you might not be interested in, but it kind of covers a little bit of everything, including culinary medicine, which we're going to be doing on Friday this week. So if you want to tune into that, I believe it's 10:30 to 11:30. And then we're also throwing in some kids cooking classes. And then I'm still going to be doing cooking classes here on Wednesdays at this time, but I've actually put up the menus now. So you can kind of check to see if it's something that you might be interested in. One of the questions I get asked a lot is how to start a plant-based diet. And so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm going to show you how to kind of make it seem like plant-based diets aren't as crazy as they are. These are a couple of things that I teach to my culinary med students, and they're heavy on plant proteins and eating with unprocessed foods. And so the main goal of this is to eat healthy without any kind of animal products. So no honey, no eggs, no butter, nothing like that. Everything should come naturally. And so nothing should be processed. And so if we're talking about sugars are processed, so we don't use that. We'll substitute with things like maple syrup. And so little changes and tweaks like that, you'll notice. Hold on. Okay, nothing, just looking to see what people are chatting about. And I'm gonna open my chat so that I can make sure. Okay, so we're gonna start by making dessert. Because plant-based desserts seem impossible, but they're not. They're actually really, really, really easy to make. And so what I'm actually going to show you how to make is a tart, or a little, kind of like a little tartlet of some sort, if that's the best way to explain it. I'm going to move my food processor up here. And you do need a food processor, unfortunately. So if you don't have one, you could try to mash this up as fast as you can with your hands, but it might get a little difficult. So I got my food processor here, and I'm going to create a crust. And so in my crust, I'm going to be adding whole almonds. So I have a little bit of whole almonds in here, and then almond flour too. I already made some ahead of time, so that's why the food processor is dirty. For this specific recipe, your almond flour doesn't need to be bleached. And so some almond flour has the skin left on it, perfectly fine. Like Trader Joe's sells a brand that has the skin, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. We're actually adding even more whole skins in there. But if you only have the white stuff that you use to make macaroons, perfectly fine too. You can go ahead and use that. So I'm gonna blend these up until they're like a coarse crumb, or like small little do it a little bit more, so I'll show you where I'm at right now. I've got whole pieces of almonds in there right now. I want it to break up just a little bit more. And if you don't have almonds, you can go ahead and use things like walnuts, pecans, really any nut you want. What you need to remember though, is if you're using other nuts like walnuts, they have oils in them. So if you blend them too much, you'll make a paste out of it, almost like you make peanut butter. So just be careful. So that's it. It's got a little bit of chunks in it. And now I'm going to add my liquid and my fat, or which is actually the same thing. So right here, I have melted coconut oil and a little bit of maple syrup. So while it's on, I'm going to drizzle it in. And then you should get a mixture that looks like wet sand. That's all that I'm looking for. And at that point, it's up to you what you want to make and how you want to make it. So I have little tartlets. These are like egg tart shells that you get from dim sum. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. You can use really anything you have at home. You can even make a large tart. Just making sure to watch your oven and your oven temperature. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking each tart shell and I'm gonna press it into it. So I'm gonna press, press, press. If you have like a mini muffin tin that's made out of silicone, you can use that as well. So you're gonna make a few of these and then you're gonna bake them off. So you're gonna bake them off in a 300-degree oven. So 300 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes, and that's it. While that's baking, so I'm gonna show you that, but before I do that, because I already have some made, you're gonna grab a pot and you're gonna make a ganache, or like the chocolate filling. I'm gonna pour in heavy coconut milk. So not light coconut milk, but the full fat stuff. So the full fat coconut milk will be thicker, it'll be richer, and it'll help melt the chocolate. And then I'm gonna add a little tiny bit of maple syrup in there too. Not the Aunt Jemima's kind, but the full, real maple syrup that you can buy that costs an arm and a leg. And so I'm gonna add a little bit of that, and then I'm just gonna put that on the stove and bring it up to a boil. So you want it nice and hot because you're not gonna actually do anything with the chocolate other than pour it into a bowl. So I'm using bittersweet chocolate, and you can get vegan chocolate too if you want for this. But I'm gonna chop up my chocolate or break it up into as many little pieces as I can, and I'm gonna pour the hot coconut milk right on top. And without disturbing it for about 30 seconds to a minute, I'm gonna get a nice like rich cream out of it. I'm gonna do that, got my milk going. And coconut milk, you can buy pretty much anywhere. And there's no need for you to buy anything special for this. Like you don't need coconut cream or anything. What I do need you to do before you use your coconut milk is to give it a good shake though. Because if you don't shake it well enough, it just kind of clumps together. And then you'll be left with just coconut cream. So I've got some boiled coconut cream with the maple syrup here. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour it right on top of my chocolate. Now I'm not gonna touch the chocolate. I'm gonna let that sit for about a minute, 30 seconds or so, and that should be nice and ready to go. So this is what the tart shells look like when they come out of the oven. You've got 2 little tarts. You'll make, this recipe will make about 16 this size, and you might be left with a little extra filling too. And then I've got some unsweetened coconut. If you want some unsweetened coconut, you can use that too. And then I already have some filling that I pre-made. And all you're going to do, so it mixes up really nicely, and I'll show you how that one looks like in about 30 seconds. And I'm gonna fill these just like that. So you can have kids help do this as well. Go around. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of extra coconut and pour that right on top. So if you think about this, all you're getting, the sweetness really all it's coming from is that maple syrup and maybe a little bit that's inside your chocolate, but that's it. And then you're gonna refrigerate them. So you can refrigerate them for about 30 minutes or so, but overnight would be the best, just depending on how much chocolate you put in there. So I had 4 ready to go. I'm gonna show you how you pop them out. We're gonna pray to the tartlet gods that this works. So there should be enough coconut fat in there, and you should be able to just run your knife around the edges of that, and it should pop right out just like that. And then you can plate it up, and then you can just pop these in the dishwasher. So again, just take a knife and just go around the edge. There should be enough coconut oil and fat inside what you used to make these pop right out, just like that. And again, you can use any kind of nut that you want. Just make a kind of flour out of it. You can even substitute that almond flour for a little bit of oats if you wanted to. So there's dessert ready to go. But let me show you what that chocolate looks like. So I poured that hot coconut cream or milk right on top of it. And if you look and you keep mixing, it'll all melt down And this is how you make ganache. So if you've ever needed to make a chocolate sauce in a hurry, equal parts of heavy cream to chocolate. So it's 1 tablespoon chocolate, 1 tablespoon cream. And then you can make this thin, like chocolate sauce. Doesn't reheat very well in the microwave. So the way that you reheat this is actually put it in another container of hot water or warm water and let that slowly melt it down. And then you've got this nice chocolate sauce that you can add into different things. And remember, this one is made with coconut milk. All right, now for the fun part. Now for a Buddha bowl. So Buddha bowls are bowls that contain a little bit of everything to make a full meal. So I do a variety of Buddha bowls. You can do a lot with like a salad and then a protein of some sort and then a base or your carbs of some sort. So what we're gonna do today is Farro. If you live near a Trader Joe's has the best Farro. It's a 10-minute Farro that you can buy in a little bag. I only have Sprouts nearby, so this is what my Farro looks like. They look like little grains. It's a grain. And the good thing about the Trader Joe's one is that it's parboiled, so it only takes 10 minutes to cook, whereas this stuff can take about 40 minutes. I'm gonna show you how to make it really quick. I've got it right here and I just rinsed it. I always rinse your grains. You just don't know how long it's been sitting there and with what. I'm gonna start heating up my pan already. And I would use a pot. I'm using an induction burner, so it's just easier to use it this way for you to see, but if you have a pot, do it in a pot. So we've got onion, carrot, and you would add celery. I left my celery at home, so I don't have it. And I'm only doing half of this recipe, so if it looks a little small, forgive me. So for the carrot, all I'm gonna do is, it's an organic carrot, so I left the skin on. That's where all the nutrients are. It's rolling around. So what I wanna do is make sure I put my hands around it and then cut through the middle. For my knife, I'm choking up all the way and then pinching the blade and putting my fingers around the side. And then I'm gonna go down and push. One good cut. And then I'm gonna dice. So for this hand, I'm gonna tuck my fingers underneath and pull my fingers forward so that I got a perfect dice going. And then I'm using 1/4 of an onion because your recipe calls for half an onion. Again, this all just provides flavor. If you don't want to add it, you don't need to. So I got a garlic clove too, so I'm going to push down on one side and then peel. I'll show you my garlic tricks in a sec because we actually use a lot of garlic in this recipe, in this whole recipe, yeah. And then I'm going to mince. I'm going to go for it, just like that, and then my onion. So I got 1/4 of an onion to go. So I'm gonna try to hold it all together by putting my fingers around it, but I'm gonna make cuts all the way around and then go in one more time and then dice. I've got a small dice going on. You wanna use chicken stock or veggie stock because we're talking plant-based today. You can go ahead and use veggie stock. I just use water though. So there's enough flavor from this, and usually you would add celery too, which we don't have right now. So I'm gonna coat my pan, just a little bit of oil, that's all I need. And then I'm gonna add my aromatics inside, just like that. And then I'm gonna add my Farro. I'm gonna let that cook for a little bit actually. What happens when you rinse grains like this is it has residual water. So when you're making a pilaf or anything of that sort, what you want to make sure you do is dry it off, and that's why. So toasting it / kind of drying it off so that when you do add your liquid, you're adding the correct amount. You're not adding the wrong amount in there. Add Farro inside. Let it dry off. So I'm drying it off a little bit. That's what it looks like. It's really pretty. And then I'm gonna make it all nice and flat in there. And I'm gonna add my water. And then put a lid on it. And that's it. roasting veggies to show you guys. All right, so that's ready to go. And it's gonna cook for about 40 minutes. So it's a long time if you have the regular stuff. If you have the Trader Joe's stuff, it only takes 10 minutes. And you can build more flavors when something cooks that fast. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what I've already made though. I already have the farro ready to go. So it looks like that. So I'm just cooking it until pretty much cooking it like rice. And I'm going to mix. That's it. So it's a chewy kind of grain. Taste it and season it. I see a question about Friday. I'll update you in 1 sec about it. Taste it just to make sure that it's got enough seasoning. Yep, nice and chewy. It's not something that's soft like rice is. It's a lot chewier than it is, and so it kind of fills you up a lot faster, I feel like. All right. So the next part of that is roasting some veggies. So bell pepper, zucchini, and then onion. And I'm gonna show you my garlic trick right now. So some of you have seen this, some of you haven't. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna use a lot of garlic because we're gonna use garlic in the veggies as well as the sauce we're gonna make. What you're gonna take is you're gonna take your whole head of garlic, wrap it around a towel, hold it tight, and if you have kids around, this is the best thing to do because it gets some aggression out. You might need to get some aggression out these days, so go ahead and do this. You're gonna whack. Again. What it's going to do is, ta-ta, not really, almost did some of them, yeah. So what it does is it peels the garlic for you, and you can go in and grab each clove there. So I'm gonna look a little bit more, or a little bit, there we go. A little bit more, and then you can go around and find cloves that way. Just remember that towel is dirty now. So I'm gonna go in, and then if you don't wanna do it that way, what you would do is again, use the heel of your hand, push down, take off the end, and peel. The better the garlic is, the harder it is to peel, I find most of the time. So if you got like organic stuff or not the ones that's in the 5-pack from China, it gets a little hard to peel sometimes. All right, so I'm gonna add that all together. And then I'm gonna show you another little trick. If you like the flavor of garlic, take a little bit of kosher salt, sprinkle it right on top of that garlic, and then I'm gonna chop. Your knife is sharp. That salt, especially if it's kosher salt, acts like little knives. And so what happens is it kind of chops it up with your, for you while you're chopping with your knife. Not only that, the salt that's all actually being used in there is gonna go into your food and it's gonna spread the flavor of the garlic even more. So you can go ahead and just sprinkle the salt on top of your garlic and you're building flavor that way too. I'm gonna use the back, all right. And then we're gonna use a bell pepper. I used half of it so that I could show you, but what we're gonna do is I cut it in half through the top part and then I'm gonna take my top off. And then I'm not gonna cut on this side because this side is slippery. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut on the inside. I'm gonna cut it into chunks, all about the same size because all 3 of these things are gonna cook it around the same time. I got onion and zucchini. I'm gonna do my onion first. I'm gonna cut it in, I cut it in half already. So now I'm gonna peel it. And because I'm doing wedges, I'm gonna actually take both sides off and cut into wedges. This is a pretty big onion, so I'm gonna actually cut that in half too. And then all of that's gonna go into a bowl. Zucchini, I'm gonna take my ends off my zucchini, start collecting all my veggies. And then for my zucchini, again, slippery, rolls around a lot. If you're really scared of a knife, what you can sometimes do is, it's scary, you can cut yourself kind of like a foot. So what I did was I created a part of the vegetable that prevents it from rolling around so that it stays flat. Now I'm less scared to go around and cut it in half. And then I'm gonna make half moons out of this. It will stick, so just be careful. Zucchini has that kind of film on it that makes it want to stick to everything. And again, zucchini varies in size, and so when I write these recipes, I don't write, use your best judgment, use however much you want. I could eat a whole zucchini on my own, so really up to you how much you guys like. All right, so I'll save that zucchini for later. But now that is gonna get tossed with a little bit of olive oil. There's already salt inside that garlic. That's all gonna get tossed, push and a pull. So push and pull, just like that. And then I'm gonna roast it off. And then, the wonders of production TV. All right, so I've got my veggies ready to go. I laid it flat on a sheet tray just like that, and then I roasted it. So that's gonna be another portion or another part of our Buddha bowl, just like that. Now the most important part, the part that, actually there's two more parts to this. So I'm gonna show you the most important part, which is the chickpeas, which is the protein. And the chickpeas are very special because I discovered a way that you make them crispy. You can buy, you know, those crispy chickpeas that you can buy in the bag? Well, you can actually make them at home and you don't deep fry them. You use your good old microwave for all things. So this is a can of chickpeas that I took out. And so for what I did with the chickpeas was I laid them on a sheet of, on a paper towel or a couple paper towels and dried them off really well. You want to make sure you do this in one flat layer though. So you don't want them stacked on top of each other. So grab the largest plate that you have. This is what it looks like for one can of chickpeas. So I'll be honest, double the amount of chickpeas of this recipe if you really like chickpeas and you like it's just really good, or you want to make extra. So you've got that ready to go. Put this in your microwave. So you're going to put it in your microwave about 3 minutes total, but do it in 1 minute intervals and stir after each time. What's going to happen is you're going to end up with this. They look like shriveled, dry chickpeas, and that's exactly what you want. What you're trying to do is you're trying to dehydrate your chickpeas ahead of time and not making the oven do all the work. You could technically do this in your oven, but it would just take forever. You'd probably do like a 300-degree oven for 3 or 4 hours to slowly dry them out. So I've done half of the work already in drying these out. All I need to now do is I'm gonna take these and I can flavor them in any way that you want. So you can even make these sweet. So I'm gonna toss them in a bowl, and then I'm gonna add some spices. And so what I chose today to do was cumin, coriander, garlic powder, smoked paprika, and a tiny, tiny bit of allspice, just to give it that Mediterranean kind of flair. And I'm gonna add that all in. A little bit of olive oil. You can even eat these just like this. But if you really wanted to crisp them up, you're gonna just put them in your oven and you're ready to go. So now I'm gonna finish tossing it, add a little bit more oil. I'm gonna put them on, just so that I'm gonna roast these off right now, but I'm gonna put them on a cookie sheet just like that, and it's gonna go straight into the oven. And now that part is done, we're gonna make our sauce to go with it. Whole milk yogurt. Again, if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can make that in your Instant Pot really, really, really easily. If you're a yogurt eater, stop buying yogurt. And the other thing a lot of people question is expiration dates on yogurt. Yogurt, when it's full fat, unflavored, doesn't have any additives in it, that expiration date is up to you. There's a lot of wiggle room in there. So choose what you think sounds right, tastes right, but if you think about it, it's a fermented food, and so it can technically last quite a while. All right, and then I've got some harissa, if you have it. So the places that you can find harissa, which is like a hot pepper paste, Trader Joe's, or any kind of Mediterranean supermarket, and then tahini. So if you don't have the harissa, you can just add more tahini. I'm gonna add those two into my yogurt. And then you'll add more garlic in there too. And then I have a lemon, but I cut into it already, so I don't want to waste it. So I'm just gonna squeeze that right on top. I know I have seeds going in there. I'll pick out the seeds later. There's a lot of seeds actually. All right, and then olive oil too. So this is a yogurt sauce that you're then going to add on top. If you've ever worked with tahini before, you'll notice that it's very, very thick, and it almost seems to get thicker the more you mix it. That's why in the recipe, I say if you want this to be a thinner sauce, go for it. You can add a little bit of water into it, and it'll kind of cut through that thickness or that tahini. The other thing you can add in here, if you feel like it's too spicy or you're looking just for another kind of depth to it, you can add a little bit of maple syrup or agave. Because it's spicy, it's sour, what it's not is sweet. I just don't like that much sugar in my food, so I don't usually. And so then you've got this pretty kind of pink yogurt sauce ready to go. And again, if you don't have the tahini, if you don't have the harissa, don't worry, just use what you have on hand. You could even make this kind of Hispanic flavored and use like a salsa, a chipotle salsa that you might have, any of those things would work. All right, so that is ready to go. Now we can assemble the bowl, but I have to make things complicated, and I threw in another layer. So these are the optional ingredients that you can add. I find when you have bowls like this, there's so much going on, but that's the beauty of it. And I'm going to show you what sauce we're going to make, or what kind of topping we're going to make. We're going to take some cherry tomatoes. You can half them if you want. So if you want, you would go in and just half a few of these guys. Again, this is to go right on top of the bowl. So I'm going to show you what the bowl looks like at the end, and then you can make this at home. And then you're going to find a vinegar that you like. I usually use red wine. I'm out of red wine vinegar right now, so I'm going to use apple cider vinegar, which is fine. So I've got a little bit of cherry tomatoes. I've got fresh oregano. Yummy fresh oregano. So to take the oregano off the stem, hold the top and go the opposite direction, and then just slide the leaves right off, just like that. And one more time. All right, and then I've got fresh mint, all really bright flavors that will taste really good in here. And I'm gonna give it a good mince. The more you cut herbs, the more you bruise them. So if your knife isn't sharp, it can actually make herbs kind of taste bad, I guess is the best way to explain it. It bruises them in a different way, and it releases the oil differently. So if your knife isn't sharp, you might want to go get it sharpened, or if you can't get it sharpened, obviously right now, what you can do is you can order yourself a new knife and keep it sharp by honing it all the time, or just just stop scraping with it. And the other thing is, if you can order a whetstone online, that'll help too. So parsley, I'm gonna give it a haircut. I just need a little bit, so I'm gonna use my knife, hold it, and then I'm gonna just take off a little bit of the leaves, and then I'm gonna go in and chop again. Flat leaf parsley is probably one of the most versatile ingredients there is. Doesn't give too much flavor, it's just enough to taste good, and it just really brightens up food. So I'm gonna add that in as well. So I've got this kind of little bit of a salad going. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, and then I have apple cider vinegar. You can use whatever vinegar you have. Red wine probably tastes the best out of all of these though. Just a little bit. And now we can assemble our bowl. So, first part of our bowl, we're gonna use a little bit of the rice or farro right on the bottom, just like that. And you can build this up in a different way too, I'll show you. And then I'm gonna grab have a little bit of baby kale that I'm gonna add as part of like the salad part. Fill this with a little bit of baby kale on the side. You can use spinach too, really anything. I should have put the baby kale on the bottom. That's what I wanted to do, that's why. So it looks like that now. And I'm gonna put my chickpeas right on top. Salad. And then I'm gonna grab some of the roasted veggies. I'm gonna keep that on the side just like that as well. Drizzle a little sauce right on top. And I'm gonna top it with the salad. So you've got a little bit of everything going on in there. You've got your roasted veggies, your farro, you've got a tomato salad, and then a salad with your chickpeas and that yogurt sauce. Okay? So that is your Farro chickpea Mediterranean bowl. Got all your good proteins in there, really healthy. Should taste really good too. So hopefully you guys will make it. All right, so let me just look what the questions might be right now. Farro tastes like crunchy rice, I guess is the best way, or chewy rice is a good way to say it, or barley, it tastes like that. So if you want, you can substitute with brown rice. Quinoa is another great substitute, and barley, just barley in general would work too. And the culinary medicine class is online already, so, oh, it should be online. What's gonna happen is it's an hour class, and so it starts at 10:30, and the first half hour of Katie from the UCI Health Department will be doing a presentation about the DASH diet. So we're going to be talking about low sodium cooking, and then I'll do a quick little demo on a breakfast and a dinner that is low sodium. So hopefully you guys can join in, and I'll see you next week. I can't remember what we're doing next week, but I've got some good Asian cuisine coming up. So hopefully I will see you all next week. Bye.